What's up, nerds and nerdheads and wee little nerdlings all? It's your buddy Big Johnny G from Two Gun Picture presents Legendary Gaming, and my friends, I am back. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for watching. Thank you for liking. Thank you for sharing. Thank you. It's what keeps me going, really does. So I wanted to start one of the new series that I had mentioned last week when I filmed my 600 subscriber channel update. And that is a new version of something that me and the 20-Sided Warriors tried a little while back called Tales from the Table, which we did with our Dungeons & Dragons game. And the idea behind that was that my players would give a synopsis in character of what had just happened. And I would get 2 or 3 of them to film it all from their character's point of view. And I thought that was really cool. But we had some problems. A couple of players left. Their time just wasn't happening anymore. Work, move, and so things fell apart. But we are getting ready to start some more gaming. We'll be starting some more gaming next Saturday, the second Saturday of March. And what we are doing, I figured, would be a good time to reimagine Tales from the Table. So this is going to be the very first episode, but this is almost like a prologue episode. So I'm going to call this episode 0. And this is what we're doing. We're going to be playing a run of the 2nd edition Mutants and Masterminds. This game by Green Ronin Publishing is my favorite superhero role-playing game. I started, and I've mentioned this before in other videos, I started back in 77 with Dungeons & Dragons, basic set, and from there I got my love of RPGs. Now back in 80, 82-ish, I found a game by a company called Fantasy Games Unlimited. They had a game called Villains and Vigilantes. Wow, me and my friends loved that game. During that time, we tried Champions, we tried GURPS Super, we tried a very horrible DC superheroes role-playing game that came out in the, I guess, mid-80s. There was a fantastic Marvel superheroes RPG by TSR, the same original creators of Dungeons & Dragons. And we loved that game. Oh, that game did the best to tearing us away from Villains and Vigilantes. But then, with Wizards of the Coast buying Dungeons & Dragons and instigating with 3rd edition the open license rule, this game was made. This is a D20 in the truest sense of the word. It only uses a 20-sided die. Can't get much more D20 than that. Now, there's a 3rd edition out right now. Hasn't impressed me. Tell you the truth. This hasn't impressed me. 1st edition was okay. In fact, I thought 1st edition was great until they revised some of the rules, and they came out with the 2nd edition, and I was like, wow, 1st edition wasn't as good as I thought it was. So I went hog crazy on the 2nd edition. As far as I know, I think I got everything commercially available and everything that the company officially had for download. And then I got a bunch of third-party stuff that was licensed out as well. I just really, really love Mutants and Masterminds. So much that this is actually see this is all beat up. This is the copy I leave on the table for my players. I got the nice copy of the rules for myself. With all the errata and everything in it. Nice. Got it. Ooh, sweet. Anyway, we've played this. Well, this current group they've all played the regular game. This group, they all have. And the regular game is what I would call a 4-color classic superhero comic book world. In fact, the setting for the game, Freedom City, in itself is an homage. Everything in it is an homage to Marvel and DC of the 80s and 90s and most 70s. And when you delve into their source books, like the Silver Age, the Bronze Age, the Golden Age, it gets so specific, and the feel is so real, and they have great write-ups in the beginning of these source books explaining the background of the world mentality and what was going on in the nation and where people's heads were at and why that was affecting the comic book world and how things changed. I mean, it's great system. If you like role-playing games and you like superheroes, I'm telling you, second edition. Go get the third if you want. I guess maybe you like it better, but for me, second edition. But as long as you get Mutants Masterminds, then you get in the right game. That's for sure. So we have an actual campaign on hold in that Freedom City campaign setting. And it's been going on for a while. It's very evolving. I like to think of Mutants and Masterminds less of a superhero role-playing game, actually, and more of a comic book role-playing game, because it does fill in so many gaps outside of the world of heroics. When you don't have your cape on, no capes, no cowls, and this game covers the real world so well that my players just really completely loved it. But when I say real world, I mean real comic book world. So we're on a break from that campaign. And I had an idea. My players totally love it. Characters have all been explained to me. Everything's been approved. And I've already started the process of creating the characters for the players. Actually, what I'm doing is I'm creating their powers. Now, this game, before I get to the setting I'm doing, this game uses a point system. Everything is a point system. When you're buying your ability scores, when you're buying your skills, when you're buying your feats, when you're buying your attacks, your defense, your saving throw, everything is a point system. So what I'm doing is I'm making the powers, spending an appropriate amount of points, 40 points, out of the 120 for the character generation for Power Level 8 campaign that we're going to be doing. And I'm going to let the players use the rest of the points to make who these people are. Because they're not about the powers. That's part of the plot. It's not who they are. See the difference? So anyway, we are doing a campaign setting that is not a 4-color comic book campaign setting. We are going to be doing a Paragons setting. Now, Paragons, and this is a source book, and it has a bunch of different ideas that all revolve around the same central seed of an idea, you could say. And that's basically, this is the real world. Or it's really, at least as real as you, the game master, wants to make it. But as default setting, just look out the window. That's what the campaign world is. There's never been superheroes. There was no Captain America and the Invaders in World War II. There's no Justice Society of America. There's no Spawn, Savage Dragon. None of that. No, none of them exist. No Turtles, nothing. Real world. But then something happens. And different campaign settings have different ideas of what that could be. But something happens. And you and your players are, more or less, in this case specifically, among the first generation of superpowered individuals in a real world setting. So they were very eager to do this. Now, I've done a Paragon setting before, not with anyone that's going to be at my table currently. And that was a lot of fun. So I got them ready to do this. So for the inaugural, or prelude to the first episode, to the inaugural new version of Tales of the Table, I wanted to tell you about that, because this is what we're going to be concentrating on. Now, I've been putting my mind to what the campaign setting is going to be, and I got some notes, and nothing in these notes is anything that is going to give things away to my players, because I know they watch these videos. They better. So everything is safe. This Paragons campaign setting is going to be taking place during the 1980s. During the 1980s. This is the background. This is the setup for what's going on. 1 year ago, the event happened. Normal, everyday life, all around the world. Everyone experienced at the same exact time a complete sensory whiteout. Boom, everything just went white. 10 hours were lost. By the time everyone came out of this trance from this event, everyone had lost 10 hours. Now, the unusual thing is, nothing bad occurred because of this. Like, you would think planes would fall out of the sky, cars on the highway or buses would just keep going and careen and crash into things. There'd be explosions. But no, none of this happened. Planes were either still safely in the air, if they were flying, if they were going to be flying for more than 10 hours, with the amount of space passed. And those that weren't safely landed. Traffic at all calmly stopped. Nobody was hurt. Everything kind of came to a stop. And all anyone experienced was white. That was a year ago, before the campaign starts. Everyone in this campaign is playing normal characters. Normal, everyday people. Jobs as mundane as they want to make them to be. 10 weeks after the events, a live Twitter video from London went viral. It showed a man on the tube, and he suddenly and violently transformed into this horrific, horrible lizard man creature. He attacked everyone on the train. The footage ends with the bloody camera on the ground. Doors open up, people scream on the platform. It leaves more terror. Within an hour, that video was removed. And the account, @Enigma Truth, was deleted. Although not everyday occurrence, these videos, they did continue. They continued to be uploaded into social media. Now, some were obvious hoaxes. Others were just too incredible, too unbelievable. But there were a few, however, that stood up to every bit of scrutiny. No one knows how these can be faked. Yet what they see doesn't make sense. Such as the latest video, that which has been dubbed the Burning Man, which shows a homeless-looking man going into a convenience store. And it's all captured on the convenience store CCTVs. And while he's standing there trying to count his change, it looks like he starts being in pain. He starts doubling over. There's no audio in the CCTV, so nobody knows. But it looked like he was screaming. And then the camera image ends in a fiery explosion. Now, this explosion ended up taking an entire city block. But nearby diners caught it on their cameras, on their phones. And from the explosion, you can clearly see the flaming embodiment of a man running away into the darkness. Not a man running and stumbling and falling and burning to death. No. A guy just running off. scared. So the campaign is going to be beginning on a very special day. A day that marks when everyone needs to be mandatorily tested for a new strain of virus. Some people think this is a conspiracy. Some people are mindless sheep and just get in line. And this is where my players come in. Whether they're mindless sheep, whether they think there's a conspiracy, or whether they know something the others don't. That's where the campaign is going to be starting. Now this is going to have a finite run now, mind you. This isn't an ongoing campaign. It could go 6 sittings, it could go 8 or 10 sittings. Not longer than that. But that's how it's going to start, that's how it's going to run. So what I'm hoping is after each game session to sit down and have a wrap. Well, do things a little differently than the D&D one. Instead of doing it in character, sit down and have a wrap session with the gamers, with the gang, with the 20-sided warriors, and talk about what happened. I think that might be a good approach. So that's what's going on for Tales from the Table. You're going to be expecting to see superhero action coming at you. Mutants and Masterminds. Like I said before, if you like role-playing games and you like superheroes, I highly suggest this. This is the superhero RPG you need to get. And in the meantime, after next week, when our first game starts, we're going to be dropping the videos. So always come back and check out what the players have to say about the game itself, about the specific session we just finished. And I'm sure you're going to think this is a pretty fun game. All right, so I am your buddy Big Johnny G. The Two Gun Pixie presents Legendary Gaming. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for liking. Thank you for sharing. And my friends, I am out of here.